time is now 6 o'clock, and we will call the meeting to order. Do I have an approval of the agenda?
I approve the agenda. I move to approve the agenda.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. W., will you please lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started, just a couple of announcements. One, we kind of have a lot of people, so if you have a cell phone, please make sure it is on silent. I'd like to introduce Dr. Rakowski. He is our newest governing board member. He was appointed by Superintendent Steve Watson to fill the rest of Dana Sarr's term. And we have Albert, who is our Fort McDowell representative. From this point forward, we will have Albert sitting up here with us. He will not be a voting representative, but he is here to give us his feedback and participate just as the board does. Okay. Also, if any of you haven't read, Mrs. Settle resigned yesterday, so we are back to having a 4-member and 1 representative board. We have contacted Superintendent Steve Watson and will be looking to have another appointment probably sometime in March. Okay. With that, we will move forward. When I put on for the election of officers, we had a full board, so we're back to not. But we will still move forward with it. So the first office that will be up for election is president. Do I have any nominations for president?
Can I move that we table this until we have a full board?
Absolutely.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to table the election of officers. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will bring that back in a future agenda. Informational reports, we will go to Dr. J.
Madam President, members of the board and guests, thank you for being here tonight. First of all, I want to welcome Dr. Rakowski and Albert Nelson. I'm very excited to have both of you here, and we're grateful you're going to put in a couple of evenings per month with us and probably a lot of phone calls with me. So anyway, I appreciate that very much. Thank you for being here. First of all, I just want to show you the library is 95% done, and it was open this weekend for the health fair. We had the Rotary, the Four Peaks Rotary, along with Debbie Clayson, lead this health fair. We had lots of people from the community coming in, and I thought it was a good opportunity to kind of show the community what it looks like. So as you can see, the planetarium is in. The kids have now touched it to feel what it feels like. That was really important to them to see it. They're going in class by class and kind of learning the new rules and expectations. Special thanks to Peter and Teresa Conti, the foundation, and the PTO for making that possible. It is absolutely amazing. I gave little short video clips. I let people from the community come in and see it, and they were blown away. We're also going to be working with the community on anyone who wants to sponsor content in there. And I have a list already developing of people who are really excited about sponsoring content. So it's going to be really, really cool. In the back left, you can see kind of in the back, the massive TV back there that was donated by the Vernon C. Johnson Foundation. So special thanks to Dwight and his family for continuously supporting FHUSD. That is a 105-inch touchscreen TV, and 40 kids can interact with it at one time. It is low enough for our kindergartners to do math problems on there all the way up to our 5th graders. So I'm very excited for that to be officially opening soon. We're gonna have a grand opening. We just have waited a little bit of time on that because we're still waiting on some furniture to show up. We want it to look perfect, and there's a little bit of some millwork that goes around it that is not done yet. So that's an update there. I want to congratulate our athletes and for their winter sports seasons. Those have come to a close here. We had some great success on the field and on the court, and we're very proud of our athletes. They will be coming March 20th. We'll be recognizing some of our athletes from the winter season. We had some great accomplishments in all the different levels of sports, so we'll be recognizing them on March 20th. I was fortunate over the last week to spend 3 days with our principals, and we went to the PLC conference, which is Professional Learning Communities, and it was at the convention center. And it was great to have some time away from campus to just work on big picture ideas about student academic growth and what is the vision for each school moving forward? How do we continue to build upon that vision that the principals have? How do we support our students? So we were able to spend 3 days hearing from some of the greatest minds in education about what's working in other parts of the country and what are some things that we can take away from that. So it was really nice to spend some time with them and get that done. I was also able to speak with our high school juniors and seniors over the last week. The seniors I met with to discuss the internship. It's been very successful in year one. There's room for growth in year two, but I'm very happy with the overall content of that. We actually had a couple interns presenting at the health fair, which was really cool to see them as part of their internship delivering information. So it was really nice to see. We talked to the juniors about EVIT opportunities and about being the leaders on campus next year and what that means to be a senior on campus and how to build upon the excellence and tradition of Fountain Hills High School. We have our move-up days coming soon. Our fifth graders will be coming to visit the middle school, I believe, next week. Dr. Wheeljar has been working on that with Kevin. And then we have our eighth graders will be visiting the high school. It's a little easier this year than it's been in the past. No buses. We're just opening the gate. But it's worked really well. The new configuration has worked really, really well. But we'll still do all the same things, cheerleaders, band playing, all those types of things, really encourage them to get involved in their high school. And then lastly, we have our ACT test coming up at the end of the month. We are doing something unique and new that I don't know of any other school doing this. And one is we have ACT prep as a class now for all juniors. They just finished that in the second term. And now that that's all hopefully fresh in their heads, review of English, math, and science, they will now take the ACT at the end of the month, and then they will take it again for the state test in April. And what's great for our students is they can use their best scores from each test to create a super score and help them get further along in their college admission process. So a lot of great things happening, and very excited for the work we've been doing. With that, I conclude my comments.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding Dr. Jay's comments? I have one. You said you have a list of people that want to sponsor content. What does that mean?
So the shows that we can play in the planetarium, we can create our own, which Jared and I have been working on through a program called Adobe After Effects. And so we're playing around with some of the settings, but we can create our own content. But then there's a lot of content available to purchase. So some is you could purchase a show and you own that license for, say, 5 years or 10 years. Some you can buy 100 views of it. And some you can now, I found out there's like a Netflix version of planetarium videos, and you can rent them for 3 days for a very low cost. So what we're going to do is offer out to any community or businesses that want to sponsor a show. They could help pay for that. And then we could also have community engagement nights where it's something to do in Fountain Hills. Come by and bring your family and watch a show and have it be an entertainment option as well for them.
Okay. Next up will be our district celebrations, and we are going to start with McDowell Mountain / Little Coppins Preschool.
Okay, I'm filling in tonight for Mr. Wilkinson. He is helping our golf team off to hopefully to the state championships this year. Mr. Wilkinson has filled in as we did not have a golf coach, and so he stepped in to take on that role. So we're very thankful that he's doing that, but he is at practice tonight. So first up, we have our staff member, Shelly Schlossberg. Come on up. Let's give her a round of applause first. So Mr. Wilkinson prepared some remarks. I'm just going to read these here. Shelley's our Falcon of the Month for MMES. Her infectious personality makes her interactions with all stakeholders enjoyable. Her willingness to help her team does not go unnoticed. From morning duty to greeting people on campus, Shelley does it all with a smile on her face, which is invaluable to our team. Thank you for all you do for MMES. Moreover, thank you for doing it professionally, making everyone feel welcomed in our building. Thank you for your competency and your sense of humor, and thank you for being you, Shelley. And that's from Mr. Wilkinson. All right, next up we have our student, Grace McWilliams. Grace, come on down. All right. Grace, what grade are you in? First grade, okay. All right, so here's what your principal had to say about you. Grace is the Falcon of the Month for many reasons. She goes above and beyond in the classroom to ensure that not only herself, but others are doing their best. She encourages others to do their jobs and is a great model for her classmates to follow. Her leadership shines as other students look to her for help and support. She is quick to offer a helping hand to anyone who needs it. She is beyond responsible and is my go-to for a classroom helper. Grace goes out of her way to show kindness to her peers and will always include others during recess and other down times. When a new friend joined our class, Grace was quick to show her the ins and outs of first grade. I'm so proud of all the hard work and dedication to her academics. I cannot wait to see what other amazing things she will accomplish. Keep up the amazing work, Grace. And I believe that was from your teacher, not Mr. Wilkinson. But we are so proud of you.
Next up is Dr. W. with Mountain Hills Middle School.
First, to take over your chair, Dr. James.
Yes.
Okay, so, hello, everyone. For our staff, we have nominated Miss Mary McDonald. There are so many things and so many words that we can say, but let's just say she goes way above the call of duty as a middle school science teacher. Few embody dedication, enthusiasm, and innovation as well as Mary does. She has an unwavering commitment to teaching and coaching. Students and staff love her. She is passionate about science and provides students with hands-on activities. Especially when I'm looking out the window, I'm like, what is going on out there? Oh, it's just Mary. Captivating the experiments and her projects that ignite the students' curiosity as well as mine. Another one of her strengths is her ability to stay one step ahead. She seeks out opportunities and enhance her teaching and her classroom. As a coach, she practices what she preaches. She motivates and guides students not only to improve their performance, but also to develop the self-confidence to excel in life. And that is our wonderful Mary McDonald. Okay. Next up is Deja Scheller. She's in 7th grade. She's actually new to our school this year. And as a lunchroom resource, monitor every day, I have had the privilege to get to know Deja since she started with us this school year. She's an amazing student, and an awesome citizen to the Fountain Hills Middle School. She is hardworking and responsible with her schoolwork, which makes her academic performance stellar. She is kind and respectful to both her classmates and teachers. She is the first to offer another student assistance or help with an assignment. She actively participates in classroom discussions. And she's athletic, very athletic. So, With that, Deja, come on down. Hey, Mr. Hartman.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, new members. This teacher has been a wonderful addition to our special education department. He's actually the only teacher in our special education department, but he has nonetheless been a wonderful addition. He cares about the best interests of kids. He is a team player, and he's great at teaching wonderful yet sometimes challenging students. He has known many of these students since they were in elementary or middle school, so he has a history with them that comes with an understanding of who they are as people, not just as students in an academic setting. He runs efficient and thorough IEP meetings and has great relationships with all stakeholders. Students love his class because of his fun yet challenging nature, and they are learning a lot from him on a daily basis. Please welcome Jeremy Banks. This student was nominated by Mrs. Ludwig and Miss Rocky. This student shines as a talented dancer and peer buddy in our adopted dance class. Her compassionate nature and kindness towards her peers with special needs is truly admirable. The student consistently demonstrates her dedication by actively assisting students in learning new dance moves without hesitation. Moreover, she has taken the initiative to understand their individual communication styles and interactions. Her adeptness in working with nonverbal students is remarkable, as she skillfully encourages their participation. As an excellent student, she not only tries hard, but also extends her helpfulness to teachers and fellow students alike. Her confidence enables her to effectively engage with special education students, guiding them through class routines and dance routines with patience and encouragement. Please congratulate Lauren Lamar.
Good job.
Next, we have the district office / transportation staff.
All right, I'm a last minute replacement, so I'm going to go off the cuff. About 3 years ago, we made the decision to go away from third-party landscaping and bring on our own team. And the cornerstone for that was Juan Ramos, who leads up the staff. He was responsible for recruiting and bringing in the rest of the staff that work for us, who have done an incredible job. If you could imagine what the district looked like from a landscaping perspective 3 years ago and what it looks like today, it's just game changing. I will say on behalf of Juan, they're still not satisfied. There's still more work to do, and they're out there every day doing it. Among the people that he works with, there's one person who's stood out and deserves this award tonight. He has worked tirelessly. I know that he's worked some overtime hours that he's not clocked in on, and I've admonished him on that because it's important to be clocked in. But he's a hard worker. He's skilled in every part of landscaping, from irrigation to seeding. He's even helped out with building consolidation, hanging drywall, doing floors, taking plumbing apart, putting plumbing back together. So it's my honor to give the Falcon of the Month Award to Luis Peña Montiga.
Excellent job.
Next up we have a couple regional band honors. Dr.
Yes, yes. Madam President, members of the board and guests, I am very excited to bring up here Mr. Jan Gardner, our band director. Jan has done amazing work in the last year, but the students are the reason we have the success we have. We have two wonderful students here tonight that have done something that's not been done in Fountain Hills High School in a while, and Jan's here to talk about that tonight.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Jane. Tonight I would like to present two of our finest band musicians and recognize them for their recent high achievements as members of the 2024 Central Region Honor Band. To our recollection, we believe we don't have or have not had any students participate, at least within the last 4 years. So this is something that we've encouraged the kids to get back involved in. So our two students, along with approximately 400 other students from 38 schools in the Central Region, auditioned with the hopes of being selected to perform with this prestigious concert band. Students auditioned in January, and then after the selections were made, they were given the task of preparing 4 high school level pieces of music on their own. Last Friday, all those students came together at Mountain View High School in Mesa, where we spent the better part of the day for about 8 hours rehearsing that music. And then the following day, we gave a concert of that music on Saturday, which was last Saturday, February 17th. Our two students certainly did an outstanding job representing our community and the Fountain Hills Unified School District to a level that I could not be more proud of. So with that said, I'm going to present our two students, and that is Ladanian Harrison on tuba. Come on up. And Chris Town on trombone. And again, both members of our 2024 Arizona Music Educators Association Central Region Honor Band.
Awesome job, guys. Awesome.
Next, we have a award for a coach. Dr. J, I will let you introduce.
Sure. Yes, so tonight we have in attendance here someone I'm really proud of, someone I was fortunate to put in the Fountain Hills High School Hall of Fame, someone I was fortunate enough to hire years ago on different levels and have watched him grow into the man he's become and what he's done with our basketball program. So there are different levels in coaching of eclipsing certain marks, and I don't think he's sitting there counting these things because he's worried about bigger things. He's worried about what he's doing for kids, but we all do those things for them. And this season, Coach Jeffrey Bonner surpassed 100 wins as a very young, probably one of the youngest coaches in high school basketball, and he's just done an amazing job over the years. So come on down, Coach. We're proud of you.
That will conclude our celebrations tonight. Thank you for everyone coming to celebrate our students and staff, and for any of those that have homework or other things that you need to do, please feel free to head out. Next up, we're going to have public comments. Krista, do we have public comments? Call to the public. This is the time for the public to comment. Time limits may be allocated on public comment at the discretion of the board president for the board to efficiently complete its business. The board reserves the right to prohibit any comments made in a discourteous or threatening manner. Complaints about specific individuals, students, or personnel are discouraged. Personnel issues should be directed to the appropriate staff member or administrator per district policy. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. It's been our practice to allow 3 minutes, so we will continue with that. First up is Renee Johnson.
Good evening, I'm Renee Johnson. I'm a parent in the district. I was here 2 weeks ago at the last meeting, but I just wanted to come back and I found some more information, I think for the board when they're looking at the issue of possibly changing the district's stance on allowing ESA homeschool students to participate in district athletics and extracurricular activities. So I just wanted to share what I have and, since I knew this, I'll just pass it to you and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
And I gave you the original packet.
Yes, I got it. Thanks.
Thank you. We do have that on a future agenda.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up will be Kim Bartman.
Good evening, parent of a high school senior who's been in Fountains District since half-day kindergarten, Mrs. Lisa Hoppy. So, and I just, Mrs. Mary McDonald, who just got an award tonight, my daughter was in robotics with her and middle school cross country, so I think thankful for her. First off, I just want to say, I know Libby Settle's not on the school board anymore, so I'm going to speak directly to her, please. Shame on you, Libby Settle, for not sticking with the district. You did not support the school bond, and now you're leaving. So you were supposed to stick around and show us how it was done. So shame on you, but we're going to go forward and thrive and do well. And Richard Rutowski, I hope that we can all work together and do well. On another note, the beautiful new library at this elementary school, my high school senior saw it and she was just so excited. She's telling everybody about how cool this big screen is and the planetarium. So thank you so much.
Okay, so that concludes our public comments. We're going to move forward. First up is personnel action. Are there questions or comments regarding the personnel action in your board packet?
I have a couple questions. From what I understand, we are letting a couple people out of contracts, is that correct?
That's the recommendation.
Okay. Is there going to be one of those waivers, or does that not apply to other staff except for teachers?
My understanding is that they have worked through me in the process. They've been upfront, showed me, let me know they were interviewing, let me know that they were going through the process. And I don't have anything that comes to mind that would be a part of that. I can check with Kaylee, but I don't believe.
I just wasn't sure if the
Yeah.
policy was the same, because I know that with teachers, if they leave before their contract's through, it does put us in a
Sure.
difficult position.
Yeah, I can share that I don't believe that either of the employees, as much as I value them and value the work that they do, I don't believe they're putting us in a tough spot. And it's typically how we would handle these with a teacher is I would share with you that what kind of impact that's going to have. And if that does have an impact that's going to cause the district to have to spend money to to fill that role, then that's when we would go for liquidated damages. But in this case, I don't believe that is going to be the issue. It's with the fact that, one, Mr. Alexander is going to be completing all of the state testing and all the things that he would be doing prior to leaving. And after that point on, a lot of what we're working on is towards next year. And as well with Ms. Mina, that we have additional people who can fill that. We're at a point where we're about to cut off spending for the year. We cut it off around March or April. And so I don't believe that there's going to be as much flow coming in. It's really about budgeting for next year, and we do rely very heavily on Mr. Moore, our consultant, to do that work, and he's shared with me that he does not have any concerns about being able to do that moving forward.
But if it's in their contract, they'll have to fill out a waiver.
Yes,
So-
that is
so
correct.
please ask
Yes,
KP to
yes,
review their
yes,
contracts, because
yes.
just as we would require a teacher to
Yes,
fill
of
out a waiver,
course.
they would have to as
Yes.
well.
I just wanted to make sure.
I did not see anything when I spoke about it of a waiver, so it may not be in there, but we will double check, and if so, we will enforce that, yes.
Yes, and in the end, the goal is not to penalize people.
Sure,
Yeah,
it's to
just
be
wanna make sure
fair,
they're being-
absolutely.
Fair.
Yep,
Yes.
I agree.
And then the other thing, I just wanted to make a statement, because it is a little, I'm sad to see people leave. We've appreciated all the work that you guys have put in. And then my only concern is with the financial situation that we're in, one of our reasons for being in this financial position is just constant overturn and never having consistency there. And so that was another reason why I would like for us to just make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a difficult position by switching people again before the contract is through. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm very sad to see you go, because I think you're an asset to the school district. I understand the reasoning for everything, and I'm sure it had a lot to do with the negativity up here, which hopefully won't continue. I can't help but think that we're gonna have trouble filling the positions, because I'm sure they're being offered a lot more somewhere else. So it's gonna be a tough one to try to fill the positions that are going to be open. But I'm very sad to see you go.
Also in the spirit of having lost Libby too, and with Dana having stepped away, I think we're gonna see some shifts like this that happen where we lose people that maybe we don't want to lose. And in the end, I think that it's important for us to remember that if people's purpose isn't here anymore, that's okay. Their purpose might be somewhere else. And the people that stay, their purpose, they know that it's here. And, sometimes things get a little bit tougher before they get better. But I think that, as the shift happens, hopefully we'll end up with a really strong core team that's dedicated to turning things around in the district, and that's really going to stick it through for the people here.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding the personnel? Okay, hearing none, I move that we approve the personnel report as presented.
I said,
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the job description for the warehouse and facilities coordinator. This is basically separating out John's position. John is retiring at the end of this school year. We had already discussed the director of transportation, and so Dr. J, do you have any other further information?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions. We're trying to reorganize. There will be more reorganization coming as we talk later in the meeting, but yeah, this is part of that.
Are there questions or comments regarding the warehouse and facilities coordinator position? This is just a job description. There is no hiring for this at the moment. Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move we set the warehouse and facilities coordinator description.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is another adjustment to the calendar. Seems like we keep bringing this back.
There's a lot of moving pieces there, I think.
I can explain.
Didn't we just see this? Dr. J, would you like to explain why this is
I
happening?
would, Madam President, members of the board and guests, I apologize. We have done a lot of change in the last 18 months, as you're aware, and the feedback I receive is good. I spent 4 days at each site over the last couple weeks taken feedback, and consolidation is not a concern. It is not there. They are very happy with the moves and what we've done. This is just again, with a new schedule, and we thought we were really smart about this, and we were ahead of it, and we felt really good. And then it came to our attention that the day we picked for our staff picnic is a day that none of our 9-month employees work, and we could not leave them out. So that was not going to be an option for us, and we worked with our attorney, and we worked with even our auditors to make sure like we've done everything correct. And the best thing was to move it. So again, I do apologize, but know that it's only in the purpose of we care about everybody.
Thank you. It's always that high school. So this has always been a half day for the K through 8 because they do conferences, but the high school being on their new schedule, they don't get a half day. So now it's making the high school have a half day. This is not going to impact, Mr. Alexander, this is not going to impact student minutes or anything, correct? At the high school. Thank you. Are there other questions or comments regarding the half day for the staff picnic? Hearing none, I move that we approve the updated calendar to accommodate the high school having a half day. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Updated facilities use classification. We discussed this at our last meeting. We heard from Fountain Hills Little League that is interested in possibly utilizing our softball field, and in looking at the classifications. This is moving the Boys and Girl Scouts, the Fountain Hills Youth Sports Organizations, Native American Games, and the Boys and Girls Club of the McKee branch over to the Class 1, so that they fall under a zero charge fee schedule. Most of these are nonprofits, and they all do pertain to students in the community, whether they're here or not, but they do pertain to kids. So, are there questions regarding the facilities list?
My only question was, is the McKee branch the one that is on our property over that's them? Is there a reason that we moved them over?
Well, they're a nonprofit and they deal with kids, and they don't really use our facilities. They have their own basketball gym and everything, but if we were moving Boys and Girl Scouts and anything else that had to do with kids, we moved them.
There's one additional thing. We did, when I wrote the grant for the floor, the gym floor that's being done, I did include that we would work with our town and the Boys and Girls Club to provide the facility as an opportunity for them if needed for any kind of thing. We've traditionally done that. I can say that years ago, the championship basketball game of each division was played in the high school gym, which gave a little bit more feel to it. And we've talked with Little League about having the championship games at the main field if they want, or on the softball field. I think that's a big moment for those kids to get ready to play at a higher level.
I'm all on board with the other three being moved. In fact, I think that the youth sports being moved is awesome, because I think it also opens up the town ones to be rented, which is great. So we'll take, and it builds our relationship with the town, because we bring all of our kids here. So I think that's really awesome. The Boys and Girls Club, however, they are a larger corporation, and so they are capable of covering those expenses. In fact, that's kind of what keeps them a nonprofit, is that their expenses meet the money that they're bringing in. And I think that with the lease that we have worked out with them, where they're only paying $1 a year for that land, I think we might be able to say we've done enough, and our district's in a position where we, probably don't need to also offer facilities on top of that at no charge. We can keep them in the Class 2 where it's discounted, maybe. That would be my thoughts.
Are there other questions or comments? Dr. Kessler?
Yeah, so just, you said about the grant, would not including them violate the terms of that grant?
I don't think it said that it had to be free, so no, I don't believe that. It was that we would allow outside organizations to use it. I don't remember putting a dollar amount on there. I can check it, but since I wrote it, I don't remember ever, because I wouldn't know what the dollar amount would be, and I didn't use the facility use form. So I think it's more of a partnership with the town. I can tell you that I have not seen a Boys and Girls Club event on our campuses, at least in the last 2 years, if not the 4 years I was principal of the high school. They don't use our facilities very often. Where I have seen a Boys and Girls Club issue is where they've had maybe a maintenance on a gym or on a field, and they need to use something. But generally, that's been an individual coach that's reached out, like a parent in the community. I got practice tonight, I got nowhere to go, is there anything we can do to work that out? More so than the club itself. So I do not see them utilizing our facilities very often.
So then in that regard, could be argued that it wouldn't really be an issue to leave them as a class 2 and approve the other 3 with class 1?
I think I think the reason we recommend it that way is that they are one of our biggest partners in growing the district and trying to work together. And I just don't think that there's enough usage to make it really an issue either way. I think it's more of they're a nonprofit, they're trying to help our kids. They offer us a lot of extra opportunities. They offer our students a very discounted rate at middle school and up. Again, it's your guys' decision, but ultimately I think that they fall in the spirit of what we're trying to do here, which is to give the Fountain Hills students who are a part of these other organizations opportunity to use the facilities that we have here.
Don't we also have the Boys and Girls Club representatives come and help out?
We did last year for recess. We were not able to secure that again this year.
Is that written into the agreement at all?
That-
For their lease agreement, that was part of the arrangement at all? Okay, I was just curious. Is there, maybe we can get a copy of their lease?
Of their lease.
The original agreement we do have, I did find it. We have it, we can get it for you.
Krista, Libby had asked about the pickleball club and if we found out what, I know they're not a 501c3, did we find out what their rating is?
There is 7.
There's-
7.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
So, is there any other discussion, or can I make a motion?
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I move that we approve Boy and Girl Scouts, the Fountain Hills Youth Sports Organization, and Native American Games to be a class 1 and the Boys and Girls Club as a class 2.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Lillian, did you vote?
No, I'll go ahead.
Okay, so motion carries 4-0. Okay, new course proposal, co-ed soccer and color guard. Dr. J, do you want to give us a refresher on those?
Yes. So the co-ed soccer is designed to provide students an opportunity to work on soccer skills, advanced PE course, like our other athletics courses that we're offering. We don't have huge numbers in the sport, so having it be co-ed allows us to, I think, fund the class a little bit better, number one. Number two, the boys coach is an off-campus, he's not a teacher on campus, so we want to be able to offer all kids an opportunity to have a soccer course. A lot of it is drill work, a lot of it is fundamental work, which they can do collectively. For many years, Fountain Hills Soccer was part of the AIA's co-ed league, and that was how we competed for games and any kind of state tournament. So this would allow us to continue to grow that. Ms. Horvath, the girls soccer coach, is a teacher on campus. She's a math teacher. She would be the one that would teach the class, and then Coach Davies, our boys coach, would come to a lot of the events, like a lot of the classes, as a volunteer and come in and work with the boys. But on the days he can't get there, the class can continue to go on, and they would be able to still work on fundamentals and drill work. As far as the color guard is a big part of Mr. Gardner's overall plan for the band. As you saw in 1 year, he took them from no band to 11th place at state. He's got big plans for next year, and I would say in the next couple of years, we're going to have a group of our band up here with a state title. I just believe that much in his work that he's going to get that done. So color guard is a big part of his process and the way he does his shows, and he's trying to grow that as a class and as a program. It would be dependent on if it fits into the schedule. It would be dependent upon how many students are are signing up, but I think approval of the class gives the high school administration the opportunity to put it in the schedule if it does make enough numbers without having to come back to the board at the last minute.
Thank you. I do like seeing these athletic classes. Both my kids went K through 12 here, and I think my son took PE and life sports like every year for half of his life. So it's nice to see some differentiating classes. I'm hoping next year we start seeing some more educational classes. I know Mr. Sunshine taught creative writing, and we've implemented a couple, but I know a lot of them were sports this year, so I do hope that we start getting, I'd love to see yearbook come back.
We've got a lot of ideas coming your way, trust me.
Yay.
I don't know if this is one, my only question is for the soccer, are they gonna be like dressing in PE clothes, like dressing down and changing for the?
Yeah, they would do just like they do in co-ed PE. They have separate locker rooms with separate coaches that supervise those, yes.
Awesome. Are there other questions or comments regarding the new course proposals?
I move we approve both course proposals.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is our information discussion items, and we're going to start out with the 24-25 salary schedule. Dr. J?
Yeah, Madam President, members of the board and guests, we have gone through the meet and confer process. Ms. Brown is working hard to get here. She might walk in here shortly, so I'll do my best to move forward. But as a result of the meet and confer process, there's still some things we continue to work through. But we do have a tentative proposal. And actually, I have a couple of representatives that I forgot I saw there that can speak to this. So they're here to save me. So come on down and speak to me and confer.
Come on, ladies.
Okay. She's
Family issue.
babysitter.
Thank you, though, it's so important.
Sure. Speak loud.
What would you like to know?
Well, give us the overall, like what went on, what is the proposal, how you feel about that?
How meet and confer became, how this got to be.
Okay, so our big question this year was what to do with our 301 monies that we get at the end of the school year from the state.
Explain what 301 monies are.
The Prop 123 was passed by the legislature, I don't know when, a while ago. And there are certain obligations that teachers meet throughout the year. And then we earn that money or not.
Performance payment.
Performance pay, PFP. And so we all went back to our campuses, all of us, and we polled our staff to see if we wanted to put more of that PFP money into our salary schedule rather than getting it as a lump in the summer. And ours came back from McDowell.
For all of it, the majority of everyone, based on all three school sites, said they wanted all of the money put into our contracts. So that will make our contracts more competitive, hopefully.
So yes, we're taking that whole amount and we're putting it in salary throughout the year. It was
The raise that was
The
listed.
2%.
2%. It was almost unanimous.
And how many members are on the meet and confer?
It varies, there's about 2 or 3 from each building.
And is it representative of certified, classified?
Yes, we all meet together.
Is there anything else you'd like to?
Yeah, well, the 2% would be across the board to all employees, so that is something there. Teachers, we've been able to do 3, if this is approved, it'd be 3 raises over the last 2 years. We did one in December, one at the end of, on their new contracts coming back, and then coming back this year. At the superintendent meetings I attend, a lot of districts are not going to be able to do anything this year. Some are going to be able to just cover the costs of healthcare, any healthcare changes. We are in a different situation. We have some savings for healthcare. That's why we were able to bump our plans last year. So we have one of the best healthcare plans I've seen in surrounding districts. The employees get not only as a single employee, a free plan, but it's not even the lowest plan. It's a tiered up plan. And then if you're an employee plus children, it's very affordable. If you're an employee with spouse, it's a little bit more because that's where the spouse comes in. It makes it a little bit higher. But we don't expect to have the cost of any kind of raises from Kairos, our health group, to have any effect on this. They're two separate buckets of money is the way it was explained to me. So the 2% is actually pretty good in this time, considering where a lot of districts are at. It still keeps us behind where we want to be, but I think we're heading in the right direction with that. At least it's something.
So there is no salary for the high school principal 0 to 5 years. Does that mean they have to pay Mr. Hartman?
Yes, we have not, him and I have not discussed that yet.
Thanks for working for free. It's great to take one for the team.
It's on the record.
We did update administrative salary schedule last year. I don't know if that's just a typo, but we do have that. You guys approved it last year. So there was a small change. Remember, of all the money that we put into salaries, I believe it was in December that year, there was a small number that went to administration, and that was just to get the salary schedule set. And that only affected, I believe, maybe one person, if two. So yeah, I mean, this is we're happy we can do something to show our appreciation to all employees.
So, yes, please make sure that gets updated with the 0 to 5 years.
Sure.
Once it's approved.
Yes.
I'm very happy to see that it's everybody. It's teachers, it's all staff. That's really important.
We didn't used to have, there used to be two separate
I know.
entities, and now that we're all together, it's really.
It's so much better. I know I work where it was separate and it's not good. We always used to fight for everybody else to get things too. And I totally get what the teachers were saying. I haven't divided so it makes more sense.
Dr. Kowski, did you have a question?
So if this is implemented, are we still behind Scottsdale and Mesa in terms of?
We
salaries?
are, yes, we are. We're about, I would say, anywhere between 5,000 to 7,000. It might close the gap a little bit more. I have not heard what Scottsdale's doing. Although I have a relative who works there, she doesn't share that stuff with me. I don't know what they're going to do. I just, at all the superintendent conferences I attend, that comes up a lot. And it's really, what it really is they're looking at how they're going to compete is really what it is. Like Glendale will ask Avondale, or what are you doing? Because then they worry about, what's going to happen with their staff. But it's going to be tough across the board, across the state. So if I've always said that working in Fountain Hills, if you look at the number of employees who live in our community, it's very high. So there's a lot of factors why they choose here. I think it's the convenience of it. I hope they feel respected and they feel like they're heard. They have beautiful places to work. So those are also factors into it, other than just the compensation. But the compensation matters. You still got to buy groceries and pay bills, and we want to do everything we can. And the long-term plan is to be one of the highest paying districts in the state. That's always been my plan. It's just going to take a while to get there.
Just because it has to do with the incentivizing of the position. I recently asked Kim, when we send out, or when we give teachers contracts, do we also send out all of the perks that come with it in the community? Because I know places like Snap Fitness offer our teachers a free membership for them and their spouse. There's other community things like that. Do we have a list that we could get a hold of?
They definitely give a full compensation package picture. It's like a snapshot of your benefits, your retirement, all those types of factors in. And that number is a little bit high. Well, it's obviously a lot higher than the base salary. But no, I think it's a great idea to continue to, post things that the town offers. Now, we started doing that with our website, working with the Chamber of Commerce. It's just one thing that we got to continue to work toward. But yes, I think the discounts, what the town offers people in the community, we have worked on that. I don't know if Kaylee has been able to finalize any, but we do advertise in lots of publications, and we put some of those things in there. We haven't specifically got down to the business level, like perks there, but we can certainly look at that. I think it's a good idea.
I think that'd be great,
Yeah.
because as someone who deals that are around town that might be.
Well, Little Falcons Preschool is another great one for a young teacher who needs childcare. So we would continue to do that. Yes, that's a good idea.
Are there other questions or comments regarding the salary schedule? Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Next up are district budget cuts. After that good news, sort of, now we're going to talk about budget cuts.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dr. Nicole.
Yeah, so Madam President, members of the board and guests, we submitted to you in the cleanest way we could, and it still may be hard to follow, so I'm here to answer questions, of how we can make some needed budget cuts. Just to give a little history, last year around this time, when I met with Tyler, Alicia had just come on board a month or so before that, and Tyler had shared that, we might be able to withstand another year before we have to make some cuts. But we were both optimistic at the time that the enrollment had gone up as the year went on. Okay, we finished with more students than we started with. As you remember, he did a presentation that there was extra $300,000 of the budget that was unused, that we kind of because of extra students coming in, it was something we weren't expecting. So we decided this year to budget kind of flat on enrollment, hoping that we could carry over that momentum. Although we did capture back quite a few students, we still were about 50 short for most of the year as it fluctuates up and down. That number, I think, was estimated to be much, much higher, but we were able to capture some back. So with the fact that every year our senior class is leaving, and our kindergarten class coming in is much smaller, we do need to adjust moving forward to be more prepared for the future. I met with the juniors today, and I will say I was surprised at how small that group is. They are a small group. I even said to Ms. Kane, I said, is there like an activity going on? Or because I met with the seniors the day, like 2 days before, and it is a big drop off. So I don't think that the seniors in 25 leaving and the kindergartners coming in is going to be as big of a jump. And I think it is going to flatten out over time because we're starting to kind of hover around 75 to 80 kids in those in those middle grades of like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. K1, 2, 3, they're hovering around 60, 55 to 65, somewhere around there. And then at high school, they're all typically over 100, and then they grow as the high school kids, as they go through school, that number grows. I went through the 8th grade picture we took in 2020 at the Falcons Nest, and I went through it with my son, who's a senior, zoomed in, and man, there's a lot of kids aren't there anymore, but then there's a lot of kids who came in. So they actually grew in number over that time, even though they lost kids to other schools or moving away from Fountain Hills. As we saw last year, we had the lowest number of students leave to go to other competitor schools in the last 12 years. We do feel we've stopped the bleeding on that a lot. It's now building upon that and continuing to not have kids leave, and then keeping the kids that we do have at the younger levels as they go through. Mary McDonald's a great example of that, in her program with Ms. Beard with the Innovate 21. I do think that's going to keep kids here instead of going over to Mountainside. And I do think AP Capstone and the success the high school's having is going to keep them here. So if you look at the budget, what we decided to do is we wanted to cut at a minimum $500,000 out of the budget. That was Tyler's bottom. That's a minimum number. But I wanted to go higher than that because I don't want to be back here next year doing this again, is really my hope, okay? Now, I can't predict the future, but my hope is that we're not back here again next year talking budget cuts. So if we're going to do it, my recommendation is that we do enough to make the required changes that we need to make, but also maybe go above and beyond that a little bit and do it one time and get it to a level where hopefully there's a surplus at the end of the year, and we can take that surplus and put that into capital, and that capital can start going to building updates and additional maintenance and operational things that we're going to have to deal with. One of the things that hit us really hard this year is contracted employees through special ed, and that's something that's unpredictable. it's not something that you feel like you want to go down that road. As we said, we had our teacher here. We have one FHUSD teacher at the high school. We've had to rely on contracted employees, and I've been very vocal that I feel it's a very tough situation for the schools because the contracted agencies charge more than what we would pay a teacher. And I've already started having some conversations with others about, is there anything we can do to rectify that? Because it is having a major impact on our district. So what we did is we gave you 3 options, and these aren't like you have to just say option A or B or C. We just wanted to show you for this discussion that we could get to $741,000 in budget savings by doing those things in option A, okay? And then in option B, we could get to $1,012,000 by doing those types of things. And then option C is, I don't think, going to be a very popular one because that includes athletics. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of people supporting not having athletics, but I want you to see the costs of it and see what that entails, and clubs and things of that nature, and that comes to almost 1.5 million. So again, the more cuts we make, the more the impact is going to feel on the campuses, and the more it could impact students. So the only feedback I received from the board when we put this out a couple months ago was, let's make the cuts as far away from the classroom, and I agree with that, and that's what we've tried to do here. So we are here. Chris worked on this a lot with me, Chris Alexander, and Kaylee as well, Alicia. So we're here to answer any questions you have, or if you want us to explain anything in there.
Other questions or comments regarding the different options? Do you have questions regarding what different positions, what that would entail?
Let's say option A. On option A, it says cutting technology support. Would that be taken care of if we hire the company anyway?
Yeah, so let me walk through option A a little bit. So here you can see we have some facilities on there, landscaping position, custodian position, Director of Information Technology. We never hired when Dennis left. We never replaced that position. So what option A really is, it's a combination of, there's about $350,000 of our budget this year that we did not spend on staffing, okay? So once I saw the enrollment numbers start trickling in, remember day one, they were good. They were really good. The 10-day drops hit and they didn't look as good after that. So we stopped hiring in areas that we felt we didn't need to save that money. And now that we've kind of survived this year without them, yes, in a perfect world, it'd be great to have these positions. But if we don't have them, we feel like we could probably move forward and get business done. And then that proposal also includes getting rid of the night crew cleaning, RNA. And let me speak to that for a little bit. I've done multiple surveys with the staff when it comes to RNA cleaning. Remember, that was a new thing we tried at the middle of last year because we were struggling with the cleanliness of buildings, and that's really important to us, especially when you're doing a tour. The worst thing you want to do in a tour is have a dirty building. So we wanted to make sure Little Falcons was pristine. We moved Melissa over there. She's done an amazing job. It is sparkling clean over at Little Falcons. It looks beautiful. But we also looked at the night crew. We've had hit or miss on different campuses. Some campuses have rated them very low. Other campuses have rated them high. Some within the campus. One hallway is better than the other. So we have expressed our concern with them throughout the year. At one point, I even gave them a 10-day notice that I might cancel. And we've seen the work has been okay. I don't think it's worth the cost that we're paying. And a year in, I'm looking at it and saying it just didn't work out as best as we hoped to. So I do believe that.
Sorry, I turned everything off.
Okay. All right.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So we do feel with the 6 custodian positions we have, what we would do is go 3-day, 3-night with how it would work. And then someone would rotate to Little Falcons. It's a much smaller area to clean, much smaller campus. So they might get a night person one night and a day person the next day, and on a rotation like that. McDowell would have a day and a night custodian, and the high school would then have, high school, middle school would have 2 day and 2 night is basically how it would work, with one rotating over to Little Falcons. So those numbers, along with, you can see some smaller ones, transportation aid. The teacher for Avid is just a tutor, so we never filled that. It's hard to get tutors out here. That's one receptionist position. The behavioral analyst that we did not fill this year. We've never been able to fill the music teacher position at the elementary. Mr. Gardner would love to have that. I would love to have that, but the reality is, the last time he checked GCU had 1 graduate in the music program for teaching for the whole state. So we're probably not going to find anyone. So that's one we might be able to live without. And then the IT support specialist, if you remember, Barrett resigned earlier in the year to move out of state to take a new career path. We never filled that one either after he left. So those are the ones we feel like probably not going to have a huge effect on things.
So what you're saying is most of these we've lived without this year?
Yes.
And so all of these cuts would just free up that budgeted amount
Correct.
to be used elsewhere?
Yes.
And then with RNA, would we be moving those to in-house positions then that are not currently existing?
Or is this the savings going to your new schedule?
The savings would go to the new, so we would, the savings from the 382 would go towards that 741 number that would be saving the district. So we already have 6 custodians on staff, so that would be.
So they would just be given all of the
They would be, and then there would be we have a new, we're breaking up John's job a little bit, so we would have, those employees would be doing different work. So the idea is, like the warehouse, the one we just did, the warehouse and facilities would be doing a lot of the tickets and building relationships with vendors and things like that, whereas John is torn between transportation and facilities all the time. So we may have to add employees as the year goes on if the cleanliness isn't where we want it. But that's why I think if we budget for more cuts and we have to go back and hire, we have that money to do it versus going at the bare minimum and then having to go back and say, this isn't working, we have to hire.
I think it would be really helpful on these different spreadsheets if you could highlight the positions that we've had but we have not filled. So we know, have we lived without them, or are we truly cutting them?
Yes, all of option A, you can see it says open positions at the top under the option A. Those are all positions that we did not fill this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And
okay?
that's included in each option.
It's included in each
Section, the
option.
cross-section is the same in each option.
So option B, you'll see there's the 359 is included in option B and in option C.
So then, since these are open positions, we haven't been paying anybody, so it's truly not a cut, but it was budgeted into last year's budget,
Correct.
so we didn't spend
Yes,
that money.
correct, yeah. So we had the ability to spend it within the budget. We chose not to save and defray some of the special ed costs we've incurred. And remember, those special ed costs are not just contracted employees, but they're also placements outside the district to specialized schools that we also provide when we can't do that.
Correct.
So if you look at option B, now you're taking the open positions that are available and you're adding in there, in addition to the RNA, you're adding in now at the preschool, we had one teacher that I told you we hired because enrollment was looking high and I did not want to hire a teacher in September after everyone had been hired and then have that be a disaster for our preschool in year 1. The teacher has been now with more enrollment. We're up to 47 kids there, so she is doing now a class again. But it is one that, we may be able to absorb that position into McDowell Mountain Elementary School openings. So that would cut the position, but the teacher would not necessarily be cut as a result of that. You can also see McDowell Mountain, we have 2 PE teachers this year as a way, because we didn't get the music teacher. And we also are offering some elective choices specials at Little Falcons. That is one that we did not end up having as much enrollment that we needed that one, so that is one we feel we could cut as well. There's some para educators, support assistant, and the registrar for pre-K through 5th grade. The registrar position could be combined into a pre-K through 12 registrar. We only have 1,175 students. A lot of large high schools have 3,000 students and have one registrar for the school. So I do believe that is a possibility. And then at the high school, you can see the assistant principal position is on there as an administrative cut, as an option, and the media aid position, which is, I believe that's a kind of a smaller position where someone's helping with supervision of online coursework in the library. And then at the district office, there are cuts coming there or reduction in budget, but it was contingent on tonight's vote for one, on resignations. And then two, as those resignations come in, and if others do come in, it would be a reorganization of the organizational chart where we might want to look at doing what we did with Dr. Allen's position in 2015 when he arrived, which was a higher level position that is focused on finance, but also does building operations or student services, and it be more of a assistant superintendent or executive director position, combining a couple of district positions into one, or maybe even multiple positions into one. You can also see that there's, at the district level, there's some PBIS stipends that we could, at least one that we could remove. And then we did a Title IX stipend, but we believe that could fall under the HR or some, if we reorganize there. So that gets you plus RNA to the 1,012,000 number. And then if you look at option C, it has the open positions, all the McDowell Mountain stuff that we just walked through, with an addition there of, we added the director of finance and executive director if we didn't want to bring them back at all and not have those positions. So that's in the red under cell 90, 101 and 102. That would be relying heavily on true professionals or outside contractor. You can also see there that we added in here some of the costs like longevity stipends, which I would not recommend that we look at, but I just want to throw that out there. We pay about $27,000 longevity stipends for hourly staff. We have ETPs, or extra teaching periods. Those are 6/5 is what sometimes they're called, where a teacher works on their prep period. That amounts to about $45,000. I will say that you always walk into your school year thinking we're not going to have any, and then you always end up with them because there's a math class with 40 kids in it, or there's a need for a class that we didn't think we might need, and we need to now offer it. So those are harder to do, but we can certainly try. Club sponsors come out to $17,700. The district absorbs paying club sponsors. And then all of our coaching stipends, again, $88,996. And all other stipends and supplementals, $124,000 for a total of $304,000. And again, these would be cuts that would be deeply felt and I think would cause the community to be quite upset. But I want you to see they're there if you wanted to look at those.
I just have a quick question about the clubs. Aren't clubs meant to be like self-sustaining for the most part?
They are.
I know that's ideal, but.
They are meant for that, but.
The policies I was sent, it had one of the steps was you were supposed to present a plan on how the club was going to pay for itself.
Yeah.
So how is there a reason that's not happening?
Well, you can see we only have 17,000 in salaries because there's not a lot of club sponsors right now. There's not a lot of club teachers that are able to either do that or are interested in it. I can tell you that, yes, the plan is to go out and fundraise. The plan is to get tax credit donations. But when it falls short, the district still needs to pay those employees. And we do value the clubs. I've shared that. Like, I do value them. And I wish in a perfect world we could pay them a lot of money to run those clubs because they're very beneficial. Our coaching stipends are really low as well. That's something we're going to have to look at down the road. It was a huge eye-opening process for me. I went to a lot of wrestling matches this year, and the time that Luke Salzman puts in wrestling for the pay is it's scary. I mean, he's 8, 12-hour days, multiple weekends, time put in there, and it is something we need to look at. But they don't do it, obviously, for the money. I was a varsity coach. We do it for the love of the game and coaching. But I do think these are some areas we can, down the road, look to perfect a little bit more.
And what is the stipend for the coach?
Yeah, I think it's right around, for a varsity coach, just over 3,000.
Is this, by the way, all my brothers wrestled for Luke, it's like family.
Mhm.
Yeah, he absolutely puts his
Great
whole heart
program.
into it.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a reason our wrestlers are
Yeah.
awesome. This 17,700 for the club stipends, is that just the expense, or is that overage, like that's after?
That's what
they
we're
did
paying,
receive?
that's what we're paying out to club sponsors, is what I, correct, Alicia? Yeah,
But
17.
so that's the total, so that could include money that came from the club fees and stuff, or is this
Or
money
is
that
that
the
above and beyond?
district paid outside? Okay.
So it's above and beyond their fundraising? It doesn't include their fundraising? Okay. So that's what the district's responsible for, because the fundraising didn't get to that point.
And I will tell you, a lot of club sponsors, when they fundraise, they want to use it on the kids, not on their salary, so that's a hard point too.
The club fee is supposed to cover the stipend, correct? That's the goal?
Yes, but if you look at our club fees, they're very low, and a lot of these clubs are very low in number. That's why we have a tiered system of pay. So when that came to me years ago, it was, I think it was a doctoral program project Dr. Sweeney gave me to work on, and it became like the law here, which I was kind of surprised with. It was just an idea. But the idea was that just because you have a lot of kids doesn't mean you don't work hard and should get paid a lot. And just because you have a lot of kids doesn't mean you should automatically get paid a lot, because you may not be doing those night events and those. So we found kind of a happy medium using a statistical analysis to come up with a way that you could find out where you're at based on a combination of hours outside, how many times you meet during the school day or school week, and then how many students you're supervising. So it's a formula.
And that's, it's hard because one of the ways to compensate for that is to raise fees. But then if you raise fees, we don't want to price kids out that they can't participate.
Sure.
Same with athletics. Like, we've always tried to keep the athletic fees low, but because there's some families that have three kids that play multiple sports during the year, and so, but.
I'm one of them.
But eventually that's probably something that we're gonna have to look at, because we are much lower than the districts surrounding us for our club fees and our athletic fees, so.
And just as a reminder that the athletics is just, what we listed here is just coaches. To quantify travel with buses, and, we could quantify equipment, but that's capital, it's a little bit different. But remember, to run an athletic program, you're including not only coaches and assistant coaches, but you're also doing all the transportation, all the equipment, all the usually tournament fees, things like that. So it is a very, very large number, and our fees don't cover it to where it's a break even or it's a profit for us. To do that, it would price people out, like we've talked about. Yeah.
I have a question. That's okay. What do we do if we don't have an assistant principal at the high school?
So right now, I do want to say that the high school has had tremendous growth over the last couple of years, and that's a testament to the team and the teachers there. And if you look in the last couple of years, their level of discipline is way down. Their achievement is up. Their letter grade is an A. They have very few vaping issues. They have very few fights on campus, and that's a rare thing in Fountain Hills. So I don't think people realize how peaceful of a campus it really is. I think that is a testament to the team. They have a lot of help. I mean, they do. They have three administrators, a counselor, a SRO, 2 security guards, and now with the merge of the 2 campuses, Gary does high school lunch and high school passing periods from the middle school. I think that's a reason why we've had a lot of success there. So I think when we start cutting there, we will feel the effects of that. I do believe that. It would fall onto Mr. Hartman at that very low salary of 0 would start, he'd have to take on more than what he's doing, and Evelyn as the dean would have to take on more. That would align us with 3 deans, obviously, a dean at each school. But I've really challenged our principals. I really believe this, that they have to be instructional leaders. And I shared with them that, yes, they can help with discipline, and yes, they should be modeling and advising and things of that nature, but really, their job is to be in classrooms and moving the needle academically more than anything. That's what we talked about at the PLC conference a lot, is how they're going to continue to do that now that they've survived kind of the transition of administration and now the consolidation. So that's how it would work.
So 2 things. One, I do like the idea of a registrar, a central registrar that's basically preschool through 12. I think that would help facilitate some, consistency in our records, and like you said, we have, just under 1,200 students. I really think that one person could do that job. Don't kill me, whoever's like the registrars. But, so that's a position that I would like to see some more research on.
Sure.
And then, again, the hardest thing about sitting up here is when you're looking at these positions, who does these jobs.
Mhm.
And nobody wants to say, oh, well, we don't want to get rid of so-and-so because, they're a great job. But unfortunately, we have to look at positions and not names. So my other challenge then would be to the high school to figure out, are there other areas that could be narrowed down to save that position?
Sure.
So with your 0 salary, I know that's a lot of work for you. But if you could look at that, that would be great. So, it's hard to separate out a position from somebody's name, but unfortunately, that's the job of the board, is that we have to look at that and decide what's the best use of the funding. But I want to put that back on our staff as to, how your office works. Where can you save that would save that position if you truly need it?
Yeah, and I would say that it's hard because we feel like the high school, and all of our schools, I feel, are heading in the right direction. I mean, the work that's being done, I see it every day. Speaking of the high school specifically, though, it's really trending in the right direction. I mean, you look at, they're going to go for A+ again next year. They're going to renew that. Chris will be there enough to get that. They have the A-letter grade, which has always been required. I think now they accept Bs, but I wouldn't go for it unless we had an A. And I just feel that, yes, I agree with you 100%. We will continue to work. This is just a draft. I've spoke to the employees affected by this, so they're aware. But we will continue to be creative. And with some of these changes at the district level, that might offer some opportunities to even be more creative at the site levels as well, because we all wear a lot of hats in a small district, so we can do that.
You're the second, you have 4 grades at the high school. The middle school has 3, elementary has, K through 5, so they have 6 grades, but you have the most administrators at the high school.
Yeah.
So, it's only fair to look at that.
Sure.
If the other schools that are relative in size are functioning with 2 administrators, I don't want to say we can deal with 2 at the high school, but then where's that amount coming from?
Sure.
And if there is a way to repurpose people, you mentioned an assistant superintendent, that's something that a previous assistant principal would probably be very good. If we're recreating positions or moving things around, if there's opportunities to repurpose some people that have been really good in a position that we might be absolving, that might be something like that as well.
I can tell you, I'm looking at the reorganization of the office. We're already pretty lean up there. I mean, it's a quiet place. There's not a lot of people up there. But I do feel that when I was principal here and there was the model of, 3, it worked really well. I mean, but Rob was very unique. Rob had never done money, but he had the mind for it. He just didn't know the ins and outs, and he knew how to ask the right questions, surround himself with the right people. So, I've spoke to Sweeney several times. He's still my mentor. And we talked about those days in 2015, like when you came in, you reorganized the office, and what did you look for and those kinds of things. Because I do think the finance position is so critical. I mean, we know what happened with the audit. I feel confident that by the end of the year. What did we say today at our meeting? All of them, but maybe some of the IT we still might have worked through. But for the most of those, we believe will all be done by the end of the year. And so handing it off to someone who has the ability, but we got to pay them, that's the problem, and see what they make is higher than any employee in the district. And so we have to find the right person who's maybe looking for that challenge, looking for that title, and looking for an opportunity to grow in their career. And maybe it's someone in the district, in the town that already is here that we just haven't found. So, but I'm gonna continue to look at that reorganization. That might have an effect on like the different school administrations as well.
Are there other questions or comments regarding the possible cuts? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the district calendar. This is the calendar for 2024 to 25. Let's do a lot of research on this, so we don't have to bring it back.
Oh, man, I'm gonna hand this off to Chris Alexander. Come on up. He knows this calendar inside and out, and Krista as well did a lot of work. Thank you to the committee for their work. They met with us several times, and we'll kind of walk you through how we landed on this.
Well, tell us all about it.
Well, I think it's as close as it can be. Chris has done equally as much,
I'll make
if
no
not more,
promises.
than I have. So, yeah, it's been a collaboration. There's been representation from all sites coming together to review the calendar. A lot of different drafts, obviously. But again, just with the notion of providing time for our staff. I know I have colleagues in other districts that are looking at adopting a calendar similar to ours. Word is out of what we are doing. Mesa currently does what we're doing as far as the day off for students after a break. However, I have it on good authority. My neighbor works in Mesa Public Schools as a reading instructor, and she makes a very poignant comment that Mesa Public Schools makes them do PD on those days. If Mesa Public Schools is listening, maybe something to look at. Just FYI. But she loves the fact that we don't require our staff to do that. We have small meetings on those days at the site level, and the rest of the day is for the staff. So again, it's all about giving our teachers time, not only within the day, but also within the school year, and providing them to plan and prepare for our students. And so I think it's a good calendar in regards to aligning with not only our surrounding districts, but also with EVIT. Again, EVIT has that modified year-round schedule, so there's going to be not 100% alignment, but as close as we possibly.
And can I just share one other thing? There is a couple of things that came up in the committee I do want to walk you through. So one of those is, and that's why I want Chris up here to make sure I get this right, but there was some concern from McDowell Mountain that with their conferences, that they didn't like the timing of the conferences. So what we did is we worked to move that back. At the same time, one of the concerns from the high school that came in, it's really been the only concern I've heard of the trimester, has been that they just don't have as much of a break between them like they've had in the past. And we knew that going in. So what we did is we aligned the calendar to give some additional half-days so that their final exams for the high school, but then there's an extra one in there for 3, if I'm not mistaken.
So are you talking about like an early release?
In October.
The half day?
Yeah, so that they had 3 half-days to work with. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 half-days.
Yes.
Okay, and one of those which would probably be a lot of grading and finalizing grades, but the other 2 could be to start preparing for the next class, because that would give them 9 hours of release time to not only finish grades, but start planning. The other thing is, as they go through the school years, as they become more used to the trimester, you're gonna have a folder of Algebra A and Algebra B, and going back through it, you're gonna use a lot of the same materials again, especially in the same year. You might change it a little bit. This didn't work as well as I want. So what we did is there, and then again in February, if I'm not mistaken, we have time allotted so that the younger students have their conferences, and the high school teachers have some time to work before the trimester switches. And I believe, isn't there there's a holiday in February, President's Day, that gives them not only a couple of half days, but then another day off, so a 3-day weekend before they start their new classes. And that was wildly acceptable. I think in the committee, everyone was pleased with that. So I just wanted to share how we landed there.
Well, and might I add that we actually only had 2 half days in February. We added a third so that we could do our staff picnic when all people were.
Oh, yes. See how we're thinking ahead?
So is your staff picnic on February 14th?
It's going to be a
Right.
yeah, it's a Valentine's Day themed picnic.
But they'll be off. They'll be off at their normal time.
Yeah, it's still their normal time.
So I have a couple questions. I see that the half days and the end of the trimester and conferences and stuff. So like in October, the Monday and Tuesday, say parent-teacher conferences along with Wednesday and Thursday, but the Monday and Tuesday are not half days. So are the teachers doing conferences after school? When are they doing conferences if those are conference days and not half days?
So some will do that. A lot of them have moved to virtual conferences as well, and we did encourage that. If we want to connect with parents however we can. So to require them to come in person is kind of antiquated at this point. So there was no concern. I have the representative here who is speaking very much about those. You want to come on up and just kind of share your feelings on that?
I mean, it's nice you have 4 days for conferences, but I just want to know what your Monday and Tuesday will look like.
So right now, most of the teachers offer conferences before and after school on days that aren't half days to begin with, because most parents can't come at 1 o'clock. So there's no way to fit in like 1 to 4. So I offer conferences like the whole week, just after school on my own time.
Okay.
So it's just to accommodate parents so that they can come or meet virtually.
Thank you. And then there's a half-day early release before the winter break, but not a half-day early release on March 7th before spring break. Is that correct? Somebody?
I'm sorry, I don't have the calendar in front of
It
me,
is
so I'm
correct.
having to assume
That is correct.
that what you're saying.
And that's not going to create an issue, like anywhere that's going to come back to the board? Because there's no picnic that day now, right?
And back to, and Ms. Brooks, I thank her for coming up and sharing her thoughts as a teacher in regards to how they handle conferences. But again, knowing that our teachers are doing that, we wanted to make sure that we communicated to the public that as a district, we recognize that conferences could be taking place throughout the entire week. Again, as Ms. Brooks alluded to, that most parents can't attend a conference in the middle of the day, regardless if it's virtual or in person. So knowing that our teachers do offer that time period before school and after school, I know they even do it on their lunch break, so they're prepped at the very beginning of their time. So we just wanted to make sure that that's indicated, that those are options, knowing that our teachers are doing so.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think in the December break, I want to say that there was some in the committee that wanted to move to not have an early release Wednesday and move it to a half-day Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah, so there's not,
Right.
so December
Right.
18th, which typically would have been a
A
half-day
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
yes.
is not now. And there's a half-day on Friday, the 20th. Is that half-day, let's see, so that's pre-K through 12. So all the kids are going to have a half-day
District-wide, yes.
because it's not finals now.
Correct.
So,
I think that came from parents, if I'm not mistaken, that might help them with the week. But we can get back to you on why that day was selected the way
and
it
I'm
was.
fine with that. I just was
Yeah.
verifying
Yeah.
that that's a half-day, but then in March, right before our spring break, we're not having a half-day. So I just, instead, we're having a half-day on our early release Wednesday.
So maybe we look at March 2
Right,
and do the same
instead of having
thing.
the early
Yeah,
release Wednesday,
Yeah.
go with a half-day on the 7th.
yeah. And we'll bring that back to the committee.
Yeah, I think that would be a better
think that's
idea, as long as it
Sure.
works out minute-wise.
Yeah, we're pretty good on any half-days over at noon. So we've met our 4 hours, so we're real cautious of that. And that's why we make sure that it's 7:45 to noon. That gives us the time that we need. Yeah.
As a parent, I always appreciated getting out early on a Friday.
Yeah.
And being able to head out if we were going somewhere for
I think that's a great idea, so we can look at
Could
that.
I ask the board, would you also like to look at October
I was
4th
gonna ask
as
the
doing the
same
exact same?
Yes.
So it's consistent before
Okay.
all our
Yes.
trips?
Absolutely.
October.
So,
Thank you for the feedback.
are there other questions or comments regarding the calendar?
I have one. So if we get this approved by our committee, can I bring it back as an action item at the next board meeting, or do you want it as information and discussion again?
No,
Since
it
we
can come
made
back
this
as action. I think we've discussed it
Okay.
with those changes.
Yeah, got it.
Okay,
Thank you, Chris.
thank you, Chris. And thank you to the calendar committee. I know sometimes it's trying to put a puzzle together.
President Reed, can I make one more comment? We also promised the calendar committee that next year we're going to do a 3-year calendar. There was too much change in the last couple years. So that is a goal of the committee, is to come to you with a 3-year calendar so parents can have plenty of time to plan big trips.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
We used to do that in the past, but you're right, with all the changes in the trimester and stuff, it's better to kind of take it 1 year at a time till we have some consistency. Okay, next up is the district travel policy for employers and governing board members. This is changing, instead of using the mileage rate set by the district, it's just changing the mileage rate set by Arizona Department of Administration. Dr. J, do you have?
Yeah, Madam President, members of the board and guests, we couldn't find a district rate, so that's why we're bringing it to you. So we've used the state rate, and I just want to clarify that because I couldn't find that, and I just felt like once I became aware of it, I wanted to bring it to you right away. So as soon as we became aware of it, we brought it to you, and the state rate just changed recently too, and I think that's part of why we caught it. But it just says policy, and then you look through the policy and can't find it, so.
Good catch. And I think we have consistently just used the state rate.
Correct.
So might as well change that word verbiage. Are there questions regarding that policy? That will also come back as an action item. Next up is the purchases over $100,000 for ESI. ESI is an outside agency that we use for our substitute teachers and also for employees that retire, that they can actually be employed through ESI and continue to work for our district. Dr. J, would you like to speak on behalf of that?
Yeah, this is just again, anytime we're gonna hit 100,000, we bring it for approval. This is due to not only substitutes, but like you said, retirements and rehiring of people back from the retirement status through ESI. So that's why we're bringing it to you at this time.
Are there questions or comments regarding ESI, how it works, why we use it?
There are not other competitive companies that do the same, or there are?
Every district I've worked in or seen is using ESI, so I want to say that is the one. I can ask Kaylee, I was hoping she'd be here tonight, she couldn't make it, but I don't know of any others at this time, but we can certainly research that and get back to you.
We used to use Smart Schools, and Smart Schools was merged with ESI.
Yeah.
So they basically just now became one big company. So we didn't have many options even when we were using Smart Schools. So, but, yeah, go ahead.
So if these are retired teachers. Is there an advantage to the teacher to work for ESI as opposed to being rehired as a substitute by the district?
Yes, because once they retire, my understanding is once they retire, they can only work through an outside organization, and that's how they're able to collect their retirement and continue to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a loophole that as a government employee, you have to be out of the government work for a year. But by using ESI, they can come back as basically like a private entity that then we employ. We also started using them for our substitute teachers because, I don't know, 4 years ago, the legislature passed that we now have to pay substitute sick time, which just seems very odd. So substitutes who are employed by our district accumulate sick time, and it becomes like an accounting nightmare of how do we keep track of their sick time. They're technically not employed by our district, they're hired as substitutes.
Yes.
So ESI does all of that paperwork for us and keeps track of the substitutes and what they've accumulated for sick time.
And I will share, one of the things I never deal with here and I'm very grateful, is shortage of substitutes. I think the principals will say there's rarely sub coverage. We have a pretty good coverage of subs. So that is, we are very blessed in that case. And I think a lot of that is, we have a lot of retired teachers who move here and they want to still be in classrooms. And we have a lot of go-tos that just love being here and they feel very respected. So we're very lucky to have them.
Are retired teachers also not able to be long-term subs without being through a company like ESI?
We can hire them as a long-term sub or hire them
Directly?
directly, yes, but a lot of them, if they're looking to continue to grow their income, they're not going to come back at that rate. They're going to work through.
It's significantly lower even than them working through a contractor?
If you go through us with sub pay, yeah, sub pay is like $135 a day, something like that, so.
Any other questions or comments? That will also come back at the next board meeting. Next up is Sierra Academy. Dr. J, I'll let you explain.
Yeah, Madam President, members of the board and guests, this is, again, a request to spend over $100,000 with Sierra Academy. They're one of our partner schools we work with for students with special needs that we cannot service here in the district. Remember, we always go through a process and we do everything we can to service our students, but at some points, the needs become something that a small district can't do. So we partner with Sierra Academy, the ACES, and a few others. So you might see those over the next couple of years. And that is just a placement of a student or multiple students at Sierra Academy that's going to push us over $100,000.
But are we still getting the money from the state for those students?
We do. We get them. We do get a weighted number, but I'm going to tell you that we've tried to rectify this at McDowell Mountain. We do have now a self-contained classroom that we created this year. It's the first year it's been up and running, and we definitely have work to do in that program, but it's at least started, and we're going to build upon it. But the combination of needs that we do get for special ed and the amount of funding we get is not working for us, and that's why we're having more of a M&O deficit than we expected, is because of some of those special ed costs that we just are struggling with. And most of it is working, again, with an employee. So I shared with you earlier, might have been last year, a handout of what they pay teachers through contracted versus what we pay. And again, the teacher doesn't see all that. They also are not paying into state retirement. There's pluses and minuses, but we're seeing some people would rather have money now than money in the future or benefits. They just want more money now, and we can't compete with that.
Do we know, I mean, like, the total that we have on here, you know, it's not at 100,000, it's not close like the one previous. Do we know about how much more we're going to spend?
The additional PO came in for, I want to say 60, which is what we're pushing.
So that would put us at about 128 that we'd be spending. Okay. Are there other questions or comments regarding Sierra Academy? Hearing none, we'll move on to purchases over 100,000 for the fruit.
I'm going to call Mr. Alexander back up here, and I think we have some representatives from Fruth here tonight. Early in my superintendency, we made the decision to move away from in-house IT support, just like we tried with the cleaning crew, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I can share that the last year, we've had a very smooth 18 months working with having Fruth Group involved in our school district, and our staff of one here at the district, but they've done a really good job. I rarely get any kind of concerns about IT, which is great. And so Chris is here to talk about, there's been some changes with how we procured this last year versus this year and why it went into an RFP process.
Yeah, so last year, Fruth Group was partnered with the VISP group, which was part of 1GPA. And so we were able to run through VISP and run through the co-op, hence not having So that relationship has dissolved recently, effective this school year. And so we've had to be creative, keeping our IT services up and running smoothly. As Dr. J alluded to, we've had no complaints, no issues with IT over the last 2 years or so while we've been working with Fruits Group very closely on that. And so as a result, we've been going month to month with them. But in order to obviously go above that 100K mark, we needed to go through the RFP process, which I know Alicia and her team oversaw and went through that process and reviewed all the bids that came through. And this is the one that we're bringing forth because we feel confident in what Fruit is offering and what they can provide and at the cost that they can provide. And again, it's something that we feel confident in for our staff and our future from an IT perspective for the district.
And aren't they the only one that gave us a bid? Right.
That would be correct.
How many other, I guess you guys have the market. How many other companies did you solicit?
We sent solicitations out to 8 companies.
And one responded. I love that. All right. Are there questions or comments regarding the Fruit Group?
Just to clarify what I'm looking at, we are saving money now that they're no longer part of the one GPA, correct?
No.
That we're spending more with them.
Costs have gone up from last year to this year, but we are saving a little bit by, we did not replace Barrett when he left, and we don't plan to moving forward. So it was about a $25,000 difference between last year and this year.
So we will be paying them more for the services, we just absolved a position?
We absolved a position of the district. So the way our IT works is they take care of servers, they take care of SIPA compliance, cybersecurity, those types of things. We can also call upon them during high business times like back to school days and Chromebook disbursements, things like that. But Jared has been an amazing employee. He's done great work as by himself, and the teachers love him and the staff loves him, and he's been able to keep us up and running, but there are things beyond his level of what he can do that's where that monitoring of our data, that monitoring of backups and servers and things of that nature, we just don't have the personnel to do. And if we try to bring it back, we run into the same problem as what we would pay an IT director and what an IT director is going to get somewhere else is quite different. And so Chris has run the math every way possible, and we do believe this is the most cost-effective way. Now, if we were getting bad service and I wasn't impressed with it, then we would be bringing it back to you. Let's try to rebuild our program, but I don't feel that way. It's been one of the departments I never hear from, and that has been, and it used to be years ago, one I heard from a lot as a principal.
And I would also add, as Dr. J mentioned, it is a cost savings as far as our ability, one, to staff the positions. Prior to Fruits Group and our agreement with them, almost 2 years ago, we had an IT staff of about 5, and that included the IT director. Now it's Jared, he's a one-man band. And so when you add up all of those salaries, all 5 salaries plus benefits, it's actually more than what we would pay to a subcontracting group like Fruits Group. And again, the service has been above and beyond what we could do internally with just 5 people because of, again, the engineers and so forth and their expertise that they have. This is what they do to service school districts and that are much larger than us. But again, to King's point, our service has been great with them since we've been in agreement.
And if you have any questions, they have representatives here tonight.
Did we look through the one GPA through other co-ops for other, and, okay.
Yeah, and I can speak to that. So I can tell you, Madison, not only, we did that last year too. And I actually I met with another company outside of Arizona, closest thing I could find to what they offer. And the company just could not do what they can do. There was some things they could do, but not all of them. And we vetted it really strongly last year. We called clients of theirs and we did our homework on that. And now that we've been there for, almost a year and a half, the relationship has worked really well for a small district. And I do recommend we continue with them because our IT department has been very stellar for the last 2 years.
So prior to using Fruit, we had a lot of deficiencies on our audit. Are they taking care of those as well?
They're helping assist Jared and I in reviewing those and correcting those, absolutely.
And so in the future, supervisor, are they going to be responsible for, like I'm assuming those items have gotten corrected, and so moving forward, like if it's a yearly compliance, are they responsible for taking care of that as well?
They're assisting us with that. I would say they're responsible. We are obviously ultimately
Well,
responsible
yes.
as the district, but yes, they would assist us in that. And just as a note, they're, in their review and their time with us, again, my overseeing of the IT department, working closely with them and as well as Jared, there are, infrastructurally, we are in the Stone Age as we look at our infrastructure. I mean, our servers are very outdated. Our spyware is outdated. Those are things that they've identified that we need to rectify in order to be not just here, but above board and kind of setting the standard, if so to speak. So those are all things that they've kind of inherited that we need to look at to change for our district. It's working.
I don't think that's something you should announce. Sam, how do you feel about technology? Has it gotten better?
Yes, it's much better and more efficient, and they can actually answer our questions.
And the
which is
response
helpful.
time's good?
Yes.
And they do have a help desk, so there's a phone number or an email that they can email that. And again, Jared is so effective at getting out to the classrooms and helping teachers with so many little things. He just has been excellent.
Are there other questions or comments regarding?
Oh, I like the whole, ask for the proposal. I like all the things that we want technology, we want everything to be made in the USA. And I appreciate that you do that. And I really like the fact that you're located right here. That makes such a difference when we don't have to go to another state and worry about that. So it seems like they're able to really help us out immediately.
And we appreciate you coming to the meeting, even though we didn't ask you any questions.
Can I ask one question? The Chromebook support, there's a couple that have, I guess maybe it's listed twice. Okay, so it says the quantity is 1,200, and so I'm assuming it's $1 per Chromebook support because it's $1,200. Then, but over here on the 9/27/23, there's an area on the very bottom of the second page, there's an area where it's 2,400. Is there a reason there's a difference?
Do you guys, do you have a,
And this isn't the RFP, this is actually financial.
These are like
support.
what we pay.
Oh.
So this isn't your department, Chris.
Sorry,
But thank you
I'm
for.
standing here, so I feel like I'm.
You
There are
should.
a couple of them where it's listed twice, but it was,
Alicia, do you want to come up? Thank you, Chris.
Two separate dates.
That was just for 2 months, so it's 2,400 because it paid for 2 months.
or maybe just combine
So it's
two months
just-
together. Okay, because the PO numbers are different, but the date's the same, and then, so there's multiple.
Yeah, when we originally, when Chris originally submitted the requisition for approval, we did October, November, December. And so as we got into January and February, we increased the final PO while we finished up the process for the RFP.
There's a lot more than that, because if I'm reading this correctly, then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 $1,200 charges and one $2,400 charge.
So that's 9 months.
I can look at that.
Okay, yeah.
But I think that would be through March, if I'm not mistaken. But we will get you a response, but yes. Because remember, it was a real challenge, and I want to commend Chris for all his work on this, leading that department. It hit us, this group and this group no longer work together, so how do we move forward? And Alicia, Chris, Tyler all put in the time to make sure we did everything correctly and procured it correctly and bring it to you.
I appreciate all the legwork.
Yeah, so we can find those technical questions and Alicia can email that to you, okay? Yeah.
Are there other questions regarding the proposal by Fruit? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Future action, We will be getting an ACT presentation, discussing some policies, and the ESA kids participating in district sports. Krista, can you make sure that Dr. Rakowski and that Albert both have like anything that related to like the club policies and things like that that the board had gotten previously? So that they're up to date when we go to talk about those items. Thank you. Okay, dates of upcoming meetings. Our next meeting will be March 6th, and then we will have another meeting on March 20th, both at 6 o'clock here in the Learning Center.
We adjourn.
I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Albert, you've got to be more quiet.
He's just taking it in.
Do you want to figure out a date for, thank you. It's good to be here. Wasn't too contentious today.
No, you're
That's good.
I'm just glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
Too bad I can't do the last,
You can come up.
these terms, so I have to run for election. I'm really darn.
so let's do, let's
It's like next week.
yeah, I want to work
keeper
around
of
you.
everything.
So I'm open.
How much time are we talking about?
I'd say probably 2 hours would get us done. Probably all the schools, half hour in each school.
Okay. I
So
could do
the-
Tuesday morning if we're done by 11. Otherwise, I can do Wednesday afternoon after like 1 o'clock.
I can do Tuesday.
Tuesday, so like
Yeah.
starting at 9?
Yep. So why don't you come to my office at 9?
So in the next couple weeks, I want to come in and take a tour. I toured the McDowell. I try and come to each campus, so I'll reach out to you, give me a little tour now that you guys are all in full swing. So before school ends now.
Good. Yeah, so we'll do the middle school, high school, and we'll go over to Little Falcons, and we'll end at McDowell Mountain. We'll just drive separately so you can go yourself when you're done, okay?
Sounds good.
All right?
Okay,
All right.
great.
So I just told Kim that in the next
Hi.
couple weeks, I want to come.
Thank you.
and give me a
Glad to be here.
Show me anything new that's going on at the high school. And I haven't been to either one of your campuses
Which I hope to
since school
continue.
started, so.
Yeah.
So I'll reach out to
Thank
you.
you.
I know, you're just working for free. So.
Now that I'm, yeah, it's like, actually, I offered to take over the contract cleaning.
Oh, did you?
For half of the 3 months.
Actually,
Because I love to clean.
Hi.
Grab a photo of you and Albert. Yeah, we do a lot of
Sure.
deals together. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration.
But she gets paid.
Yeah. Apparently that's the difference. But I'll need, if you have a spare bedroom now, I can't put my work.
I don't. That, Chris, you have to admit, that was pretty funny, though. All right. Hi, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, you need to call me. All right.
Yeah. So now all 5 of our teachers are here. He's doing good. He's doing really good. Yeah, Cannon and Ashley didn't work out, but he's remarried. He's living with his son now, but he's doing good.
Say hi to us.
Yeah.
Well.
And then Martine, his boy here, you know, Jordan.
Yes, I see him all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sahara, I'll be graduating next year. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm so proud of all of you, so it's so good to see all of you.
Okay, so, and then my next question would be, like, so, King, you can probably ask, I can ask you, are we able to use this? I will be right back, yes, I can, and we can include that. Give me 1 second, I gotta undo that.